Nobody builds something on this scale underground just for fun. An achievement of engineering so vast it should be celebrated in the annals of history, alongside the Great Wall and the Terracotta Army. Instead, there is only a deafening silence. In 1992, a single farmer, armed with a water pump and stubborn curiosity, drained a local pond. What he found on the other side of the water was not the bottom of a pond, but the top of an impossible subterranean world. A world that suggests everything we know about our past might be built on a forgotten foundation. The story begins not with an archaeologist, but with a farmer named Wu and I. In the village of Xianbeichun in China's Zhejiang province, there was a pond. Locals called it the Bottomless Pond. For generations, it had been a source of both irrigation water and folklore. It was said the pond swallowed water endlessly, a hungry mouth that could never be filled. But Wu was a practical man. In the dry season of 1992, frustrated by the ever-receding water line, he decided to solve the mystery once and for all. He pooled his money with his neighbors and rented industrial-strength water pumps. For 17 grueling days and nights, the machines roared, becoming the village's mechanical heartbeat. They pumped over 20,000 cubic meters of water, enough to fill 8 Olympic-sized swimming pools. The entire village watched, waiting. Then, on the 17th day, the impossible happened. The water level didn't just recede, it shattered. It dropped suddenly, revealing not a muddy basin, but the smooth, dark lines of man-made stone. Wu and I was the first to descend. His flashlight cut through a darkness that had held its secrets for over 2,000 years. The beam traced the outlines of colossal pillars, soaring ceilings, and walls decorated with a pattern of impossible uniformity. He was standing in a chamber large enough to house a modern office building, hand-carved from solid rock. He had found what would later be known as Cave 1. But he hadn't just found a cave. When archaeologists arrived, ground-penetrating radar lit up their screens. An entire underground complex lay hidden beneath the village hills. 24 distinct, massive chambers, spanning an area of over 30,000 square meters. A silent, subterranean city. The first mystery was its age. Pottery fragments scattered across the silt-covered floors were dated to the Han Dynasty, around 200 BC. But the scale of the project immediately presented a paradox. The construction would have required the excavation of nearly 1 million cubic meters of sandstone. By conservative estimates, a workforce of 1,000 men, laboring day and night, would have needed at least 6 years to complete the project. This was a monumental undertaking, rivaling the most famous imperial projects of its time. The Terracotta Army, built in the same era, was obsessively documented. The construction of the Great Wall was recorded in meticulous detail. Yet, for the Longyou caves, there was nothing. Not a single mention in any dynasty's chronicles. No imperial decree, no local folklore, no passing mention in a poet's verse. It was a ghost in the imperial archives. A project of this magnitude hadn't just been forgotten. It felt as if it had been deliberately erased. As experts from around the world descended on Longyou County, the mystery only deepened. The silence in the historical record was unsettling. But what they found carved into the stone was scientifically bewildering. The first anomaly was the tool marks. Across every wall, pillar, and ceiling of all 24 caves, the same pattern repeated with robotic consistency. A series of parallel bands, each exactly 60 centimeters wide, formed by chisel marks struck at a precise 60-degree angle. Dr. Yang Hongshun, from the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, noted that this level of uniformity across thousands of square meters implied a level of centralized planning and execution that rivals modern, machine-assisted construction.
But modern projects leave behind blueprints, schematics, and tools. The Longyou caves offered none. Not a single tool, iron or bronze, was ever found. Then there was the architecture itself. Each cave follows an identical template, an inverted, truncated pyramid, widest at the mouth and narrowing toward the back, with ceilings sloping at a perfect 45-degree angle. This suggests a master blueprint, yet no two caves are connected, despite being separated by walls in some places only 50 centimeters thick. Carving a connecting tunnel would have been trivial compared to excavating an entire new chamber. Their isolation was deliberate and utterly puzzling. But the most staggering feature was their structural integrity. Computer modeling revealed that the cave's design distributes weight with a mathematical precision that prevents collapse. The pillars are positioned at optimal intervals to support the millions of tons of rock above, accounting for geological stress patterns that weren't scientifically understood until the 20th century. Dr. Chen Mingen of Beijing University was amazed. For over 2,000 years, they had endured earthquakes and floods without a single major structural failure. They had somehow engineered for geologic time, using principles of civil engineering and rock mechanics that history says they should not have known. The question was no longer just who built them, but how. When the known facts defy conventional explanation, sometimes it takes an unconventional thinker to connect the dots. When author and researcher Graham Hancock learned of the Longyou caves, he saw not an anomaly, but a pattern. For decades, Hancock has championed a controversial theory, that a highly advanced global civilization existed in deep antiquity, only to be wiped out by a series of cataclysms around 12,000 years ago. The survivors, scattered and traumatized, passed on fragmented knowledge. He famously wrote, "We are a species with amnesia." For Hancock, the Longyou caves were a physical manifestation of this idea. Sophisticated engineering, appearing fully formed, with no developmental history, mathematical knowledge that seems out of place for its time, and a construction so resilient it appears designed to survive a catastrophe. The cave's advanced water management systems, intricate drainage channels designed to prevent flooding, suddenly took on new meaning. Were they simply for construction convenience? Or were they survival infrastructure, built by a culture that understood the cyclical and destructive power of nature? Like the magnificent facades of Petra, carved directly from cliffs, or Turkey's vast underground city of Derinkuyu, the Longyou caves show no signs of trial and error. They emerge in the archaeological record fully realized, as if built from a long-perfected blueprint. If Hancock's worldview is correct, these underground chambers are exactly what we should expect to find. Surface cities of an ancient civilization would be lost to time, but structures carved from the bedrock of the planet itself might just survive. The caves might not be a product of Han Dynasty China, but a far older legacy, the last echo of a forgotten world. For years, Longyou remained a fascinating but isolated enigma. Then, in 2008, came the discovery that turned a local mystery into a continental one. 200 kilometers away, another complex of mysterious chambers was found, the Huashan Grottos. The similarities were immediate and undeniable.
Dr. Wang Jinping, leading the comparative study, reported that the architectural DNA was identical, the same inverted pyramid design, the same sophisticated water management, the same impossible 60-degree chisel marks, like a digital signature, left by the same builders. It was as if both sites were built from the same master plan. But here, the timeline became even more convoluted. Initial dating suggested the Huashan Grottos were from the Ming Dynasty, over 1,500 years after Longyou. But deeper excavations revealed artifacts from the Jin Dynasty, centuries earlier. And just like Longyou, this monumental project was a complete historical blank. No records, no legends, nothing. Two massive underground complexes, separated by hundreds of kilometers and, supposedly, over a millennium, yet sharing an identical advanced construction technique and the same cloak of historical invisibility. The implications were staggering. This wasn't a single secret project. It was evidence of a tradition, a body of advanced engineering knowledge preserved and transmitted across generations, completely outside the view of mainstream history. Ground-penetrating radar surveys began to hint at other anomalous subsurface structures across southern China. The Longyou caves weren't an exception. They were just the first piece of a vast subterranean puzzle to be uncovered. The question was no longer just about forgotten builders. It was about a hidden civilization whose existence seems to have been systematically erased from the world above. The greatest clue, and the deepest mystery, may have been found in Cave 19. Hidden behind centuries of mineral deposits, researchers discovered a sequence of symbols carved into a concealed wall panel. They did not match any known Chinese writing system. Linguistic analysis suggested a grammatical structure and geometric precision that predated the development of Chinese script. Hidden within these strange characters were what appeared to be sophisticated calculations, geometric formulas, principles of hydraulic engineering, and chillingly accurate astronomical predictions for celestial events like eclipses and cometary cycles. It was a Rosetta Stone for a language history never knew existed, containing knowledge that shouldn't have been possible. The Longyou caves were not tombs, they were not mines, they were not palaces. The evidence points to one chilling conclusion. They were archives, chambers built to withstand global catastrophe, designed to preserve knowledge, technology, and perhaps even people from a world-ending event. If they were built to preserve a civilization, what happened to it? Who possessed the power to not only build these wonders, but to erase almost every trace of their existence from our collective memory? Today, the deepest chambers remain unexplored, still flooded, still guarding their secrets. The Longyou caves stand as a silent, monumental testament to a chapter of human history that has been torn from the book. They force us to ask a terrifying question. If a civilization so advanced could vanish so completely, are we certain that we are the first of our kind? Or merely the last in a long-forgotten line?